Hello, 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 Pratik. Good morning. Yourself. Yeah, students, very good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, very good morning. So we'll start the session because it's already 10 minutes delayed because of number of joinees. Fine. So today we are going to discuss topic called how to create a customized tags. Because I told already a JSTL, the types of JSTL what we had, so that we can do in the lab exercise point of view. That is the types of JSTL. So in last session, I just made it. How many types of JSTLs we had, right? So as you come to the types of JSTL, so there are different type of JSTL tags are available. There is formatting tags we had, functional tags we had, core tags we had. So if I give a detail about all these tags, so it takes time. So as you had as a lab exercise for each and every tag type, so your ma'am will explain the tags there itself, but just try to make the point clear here is the total JSTL tags are classified according to their functions. So for creating of your JSP page, there will be 5 different type of tags we had. So core tags, formatting tags, SQL tags, and XML and JSTL functions. So for each and every tag, you had one experiment as your lab experiment. So at that time, you can just get a clarity that what is the purpose of each and every tag and how they are going to be used with syntactically. When we come to your lab exercise, that time you will get clarity about this one. Because if I take it, take minimum to minimum, it will take 8 to 10 classes to complete your two tags. If your time permits, then we can see the later. If you are not able to cover in your lab session, right? So for today's session, we'll focus on how to create the customized tags. So how to create your customized, JSP allows the creation of customized tags, right? So JSP will use two types of tags. One is predefined tags and one more is customized tags. So predefined is nothing but which is already existing. We don't require to create anything from our side, but some of the tags as we can able to create as our own, and these tags we known as a customized. But as when we are discussing about your the types of directives is available, so at that point I clearly mentioned if you want to create your own tag libraries, you can do it, but with a specific syntax we need to follow, so that you can just made it here. So tags are made available in JSP with one file extension which we call .tld. TLD stands for what? Tag library directive, right? So when you want to create your own tags, right? As you need to follow this syntax. What you can just find out the syntax is, what is your syntax here? This is my syntax. You need to follow this syntax. So a directive name as you have mentioned. So you need to clearly mention the directive name. What is your directive name? Tag library, which you are creating as your own. And you need to mention the URL address. So URL stands for, I told already, URL address where you are going to keep your library once you have created, right? And here this URL address, whichever you kept in your any particular directory, that address you need to mention here in URI. Then we need to mention some prefix. So what is the prefix will make here is this will give local namespace for TLD, means where you are going to store your .tld file, that is your tag. .tld tags, you are going to create your local tag now. So what that local tag where we are using, that will be given by your prefix. So totally two things I need to use, apply and prefix. But how to create? How to create your own tags? That we can just see. We'll discuss a step-by-step process. How to deploy your own library file and where I need to deploy everything. We can just make a clarity here. So here we are going to clearly mention stepwise how many steps we had and how to create our own library. So we are going to just discuss here. So first of all, whenever you want to create your own tag, right? First you write a tag handler. You need to write what? A tag handler. What is this tag handler? It is a Java class. So tag handlers are what? It's a Java class. Second, we need to write our tag library descriptor, which I am calling as a TLD. Na? So that TLD file I need to call. So you need to write in shortcut we are using with an extension .t.tld. So you write the tag library descriptor. First, we need to mention one Java class. And what is the Java class name? Tag handler. And third, we are going to create one .tld file. There you are giving some description about your what is your own tag and the things. Just I can show with an example. Then once you have called your class and your descriptor, that is your TLD, you need to make a package of the two things, that is your set of tag handlers and a TLD file, both. Whatever we implemented here, what we call as tag library. So TLD into what we call as what? Tag library, which makes either in a separate or it may be in a combined format, we can keep it as. Then after completing these two steps, the final step, you need to design your JSP page. You need to write the JSP page where this JSP page should use the tags which you mentioned, that tags we need to implement in your JSP page. Once your JSP file is ready, then we need to deploy the tag library along with your JSP page. So totally, how many things here we are discussing? First, number one, about your tag handlers. Number two, your descriptor. Number three, your JSP page. So three things we need to mandatory should make to create your own customized tags. So hope you understood. I'm repeating once again. If you want to create your own customized tags, first we need to use tag handler, that is a Java class file. Second, whatever you are creating, we need to write in a short with using .tld file. So what is the content we are going to place and where we are going to place? We can see with an example. And third, we need to make a set of package, which is a combination of these two, tag handler plus TLD will give one package. And that using these handlers and using this TLD, here we are going to write one JSP page. Then once your JSP page is ready, then we can go for deployment of your tags. These three steps we need to follow. But as an example, we need to discuss what is tag handler, what is a TLD. Just we will see with an example right now. First example, you just assume we need to write our customized tags. Always you remember your customized tag should be extended from this class, because as you want to create your own tag, we need to extend every time whenever you are creating your customized tags. Simply what we need to do, we need to extend from simple tag support. It is one of the class which is giving some features to your customized tags. That's why always if you are creating your own tag, we need to extend with the simple tag support class. And as well as we are going to use one of my method which we call do tag method. What is the purpose of this do tag method is where you can place your code to generate content for the tag. Means whatever the thing you are doing, suppose you are creating a tag with a printing of hello message or hello, this is my first customized tag message you want to get. You need to write some code, right? That code can be placed in this method where we call it the do tag method. So two important things we are need to observe. If you want to create your own custom tag, right, that own custom tag will extend one class. What is that class is called? Simple tag support class, and it going to use, or it is going to override one method which is called as a do tag method, where we can place our code to generate this content of your tag. These two important thing you need to remember. Now here I'm going to create one tag, that is a customized tag named as a hello tag, right? So consider, if you want to define your own customized tag, what is the name of that? Hello. And you want to use in this following fashion as a without a body. This is a syntax we need to follow. You want to create your own customized tags, we need to follow the syntax like this without any body. So first what I told, to create your customized JSP tag, first we need to create one Java class file. That is, among these three steps I told, first step is we need to create one Java class file, and that Java class file should extend your simple tag support class. You remember the thing. Here I am going to see an example. So let us create one tag. This is our customized tag. What is our customized tag? Hello tag is my customized. And here I'm going to using of just I'm placing some package where that package is creates as our own tags. So package of what tags? My tags. And as we are implementing, as we are extending some class, what is the class name? Simple tag support is extension should be done always. I told already, always we need to extend one simple tag support class. So this is my own tag, customized tag. Hello tag extends simple tag support. Either you place any tag here as your customized. Always we need to extend this class name. And this is already, you know it, these are some of the package defaultly will import when we are generating a servlet with the help of JSP. So we are going to use these packages are importing. And along with this simple tag support extension, here we are going to override one method. What is that method? Do tag method. Just now we explained your previous slide. Always I need to use simple tag support extension, and I need to override tag method. So first one is done. This is done. And this is my second. What is my second? Do tag. I need to use as a override. And during this writing of some code, or during the writing a class file, there may be some type of an exceptions can be raised. That can be a JSP exception, that can be ISO exceptions, that is IO exceptions we had, that can be handled by your catch block. As the latter we can find it, right? If it is throws, that can be cached by your catch block, that is another issue. So what next we are doing here is, we are going to use one class which we call JSP writer, and here our object is what? Out. And whatever we are using an out, with the help of method get out method, we are going to get the context. Which context we are getting here? JSP context we are going to get by using a method called as what? Get out method. And simply here we are printing a message called whatever we get with your object out, that out is going to use one method called println method, and it prints a message called hello customized tags. It can be printed as what? Hello customized tag. So here just to first number one is, we need to get back the things using these two methods. And once you get back the things, we are going to print a message by giving hello. So both are using same. So slide is repeated twice, that's it. But both give same meaning. And once you have done your do tag method, and what this do tag method will take, I told just now, na? It takes current JSP context object using which method? JSP context, and uses hello customizer tags with current JSP writer object. That is only I told here. It takes get using get JSP context method and takes the current object, and that has been sent to which tag? To your customizer tag, to which object you are sending? To your out object. So this is a very important line. We don't use this thing, we can't able to get the things from get JSP context. Means from your context of JSP, we are going to take it, storing in an object called out. Then that out will using a method and print some message as hello customizer tags. So that is only the same thing I'm saying here. So JSP writer object. This line is explaining about the first line of your code. Now, only you have just implemented your .java file, or you have created one file, but one more thing is left over. What is the one more thing? We need to create one directory file with an extension of TLD. But before going to that, what we need to do is whatever the class you have written, right? We need to compile. We need to compile the Java file. The .java file you compile, what you are going to get? You are going to get .class file as usual, and that .class file you should kept in one directory. But where we need to kept? We need to kept in your environmental variable class path. That .class file should be copied in the class path. But for our purpose, where we are going to keep it as, we have to copy in a root folder, web info classes, my tags, there we need to copy, because when we are executing the things of your all NetBeans projects, the path will be given as like this: root, web info, classes, and my tags. Then once you placed your Hence, you placed your what I can say dot class file. So here we need to include the following also. One jar file we need to include, because why we need to include your jar file is to make your own directory to run. So that purpose we need to compulsory create one jar file. For every application, a jar file is mandatory. For your SQL also, we are including one jar file. For your JSTL, we are including JSTL 1.2 jar file. So similarly, when you are creating your own, what I can say, customized tags, we need to take one jar file that you need to download, and we need to keep in your Tomcat to your class file. Then once you have done, what is my second step? I need to create my own TLD file. So that TLD file also be kept here in the web apps, root folder, web info. We need to create our own file. And what is that file name is called? Custom.tld. So whatever the file you are creating as a own, we call it as what? Custom.tld file. Now how to create, what the tag tld file is containing. So here your own tag, or what I can say, custom.tld file is containing the code like this. So by seeing this, you can just have, this is same as your .xml file. It is extended markup language file where we are going to write our TLD, but it can be stored not with the .xml, it can be stored with an extension called .tld, because it is your own tag library file. And here we are going to mention what is your TLD library version, what is your JSP version, and what is the name you are giving, and then what is the message we want to print here. I want to print a message as hello. And what is our class name? Previously I compiled my class name. Na? That class name you need to maintain here also by mentioning your tag class. Here I don't have any content inside my body, so I'm making it as an empty. Then close off my tag and close off my tag library. So every dot TLD file should be designed by using markup language, but we need to use with an extension of dot TLD. So what the TLD is consisting of? It consisting of mainly the name which you are giving for your file in a short name, not exactly the name we need to place. So we can't place here custom TLD because as when we are discussing your servlet can be make as alias name in the same way. Here also we need to mention the short name for your TLD file. We can give any name. Here I am giving example TLD is your short name. And we need to clearly mention what is your library version we are using and what is your JSP version you are using and what is the message I need to print using my customizer tags. I need to print a message called hello, and this or tag whatever you created previously you have done with your .java file. You compile na, that .java file compilation, the class file you are generating, that class file we need to mention here. Then if it is containing any content, body content, you need to write here. Otherwise you need to mention here empty. So this is your second one, writing .tld file. Now I need to what? Generate one JSP. This is my final step. It's a time to define our own custom tag. That is, what is your custom tag name? Hello. Inside your JSP program. Now I need to write my JSP. And this JSP also saved in which folder? In web info folder only. Okay, understood? So class file is a different path, .tld file a different path. Now I'm creating my JSP file and that I need to place in which folder? In your web info folder. So clearly here I can find my syntax. Previously I told you a syntax now. Whenever I want to create my own customized tags. So directory symbol, then directory name. What is my directory name? Tag library. And prefix. What is your prefix? EX is my prefix. What is EX stands for? Inside your example program. So when you take your first tag, this is your first tag when you are creating your own tag. Na? So when you are creating your own tag, this you can find what is your prefix of your tag name? EX. Prefix for your tag name is EX. That prefix here we are going to place. Here I am placing as an EX. Then I need to mention my URL address. What is the URL address? Where you are showing your custom.tld. Clearly we mentioned our custom.tld should be placed in a folder known as webinfo, and that webinfo is consisting all TLD folders or all TLD files. That only we need to mention as a URL and close off the things. If you don't mention this one, it will not find your path. Then, as you know how to develop your JSP page. So this is a title is giving, it is an example of sample custom talk and a closing of your head. And just I'm printing my own tag. What is my tag name? Example hello. So I told as a syntactical, we need to include, just you can find like this. I need to write the following fashion we need to follow without body. We need to write this way. So same thing here I'm implementing in my JSP. Then close off my body, then close off your HTML. Then what we need to do? We need to start our server, and once your Tomcat server is make your execution started, we need to type in your browser what is the port number of your Tomcat and with a local address, and whatever the file name you have given, you need to call your that JSP file with the name which you have given. Then automatically we need to print a message. What is the message? It should print hello custom tag. But where we are finding this message, here I can find my message as where you mentioned the out.println. But how this allow dot out custom tag allow custom tag will get, using this method we will get. But who is going to get this thing? This can be done with your out object. But how out object will get this information? by using your get JSP content. Means from your JSP, the TLD file will be called here. Then from the TLD file, we are going to get our context, and that is stored in your out object. Then that out object will be executed to get your message as what? Hello dot or hello custom tag, a message you are going to get. So this much we need to do it for creation of any our own tags. Any doubts in this creation of custom tag? You can try your own custom tag. There is a no way of just doing the things. Just you can. I just explain an example how to create your own custom tag with what is your tag name. Hello is my custom tag name. Like this, you can create your own. But remember, when your creation is going on, placing of your class files is a very important, and placing of your jar file. Don't forget, if you don't copy this jar file, you are going to get an error message. And once the jar and class file you have made a setup, it is also very important to place your TLD file, because if you don't place this TLD file, your information cannot be get back by your method called JSP context method. So this is a very important thing we need to observe when we are creating your own custom tags. So these are the steps we need to follow. Any doubts we had in this, please let me know first. Then I can go to the next one. Any doubts, my dear students? Any doubts in the creation of your custom tags? Yes, clear, fine. So hope you can just try to create at least one custom tag from your side, and but place clearly in your path which you have mentioned. Don't forget the thing, right? So hope you'll get it. You try for creation of your own custom tag. Either it can be in your lab session, or you can create as you had already with your laptop with you. You can try for it later. So this is what a creation of your custom tags. Now, coming into my next topic is exception handling. You know what is the meaning of an exception already, right? What is an exception? It's a runtime error which we had when we are trying to execute any type of programs, right? So normally what happens, these exceptions are normally thrown by whom? An object. Sorry, it can be thrown by your objects, or it can be sometime method, and that can be handled. That can be handled normally. That can be handled, and that can be thrown, and that can be handled at runtime. That is a very important. So the exceptions is normally in the form of an object, and which can be thrown, and that can be handled at your runtime. But these exceptions can occurs anytime. There is no point of that only when I'm compiling this block of code we may get an exception. No, exceptions can be raised at any time. So the user, the developer, or I can say web programmer, should be very careful when where they are handling these exceptions. So because if they are ready to handle exception, then only we can call that is a good programming skill. But if you don't give any chance to handle your exception, so what happens? The problem, the web developer cannot able to handle the exception, means it deployment fails. So be careful whenever we are generating any program. Either it can be a C++ program, or it can be a Java, which we call as an object-oriented programming skills. But as we are discussing with your JSP, so what happens in JSP? There will be two perform, or we can have two methods or two ways to perform your exception handling. I can use two methods. One method is already which we have studied when I am discussing about types of directives. Under directives, there will be three directives we had. One is a page directive, one is Just now we have done with custom tags. There is tag library directive, and one more is called content or import directive. So in this first page directive, under your page directive, we had 10 attributes. Hope you can remember. I don't know. So there will be 10 attributes we had, like import, content, is error, is thread safe, is buffer, like 10 attributes we had it, right? In these 10 attributes, here we are using two attributes which we named as error page and is error page. This is the two attributes among these 10. Using these two attributes, I can handle my exception. That is the one thing. Second, one element I'm going to place in which page? In your web.xml. Placing this element in your web.xml, I can handle my exception. So handling of the exception in your JSP can be done in two different ways. One is what? Using the attributes of your page directive, and one is what? One more, placing an element in your web.xml, and that element named as error page. But how to handle? We'll see the first method. So this is method number one. I just now told the method number one, using your attributes. What are the attributes? Is error page or error page attributes we had it. So this is only we are just making. So in this case, so first directly we are moving into an example, because we need to done with an example so that we can have clarity where the exception is raising and how you are handling. You can have a clarity when we are going with an example program. So look at here. To handle this exception, first what we need to do, we need to define and create a handle exception. So we need to create one page. For what purpose? To handle your exception. And what is that page is known as error.jsp. So I need to write one file. And what is that file is called? Error.jsp. You can find third file. Then the page where we may occur exception, right? Define error page attributes of your page directory. So one more page I am creating. What is the one more page? Process.jsp page I am using. And what is this process.jsp will do? So if any exception occurs, it define using our attribute. What is our attribute here? Error page attribute. That error page attribute can be declared in your process.jsp. So any exception has been raised. Here we are declaring with one more page. We call it as a process.jsp. And to supply your input values, I can go for HTML or I can go for JSP. That is what we call index.jsp, or we can make index.html. But as we are handling purely with the JSP concept, totally we are creating how many JSP files? 3 JSP files. One is to take your input value. One is to make use of your error page attribute or defining an error page attribute of which directive. Once again, I'm reminding, this is an attribute related to your page directive. So where we can occur exception that can be written or that can be used in your process.jsp. And once if process.jsp is any type of exception is raised, that can be handled by your third page, which is called as what? Error.jsp. Now we'll see the three JSP pages. First JSP page is to take two values. But what is our example program? Here is for dividing two numbers. When the problem or when the exception can be raised for dividing of two problems, A by B, if you are performing, if B value goes to 0, then it creates a type of an exception. That is what we had it. So to read two values like A by B, or I can say N1 by N2. Here I'm in my example. I'm going to take two values. One is N1 and one is what? N2 values. But I need to take through your as a text boxes. So we are creating first number one using your input text box, and what is the name you are giving? Number one, and it is takes n1 value. Similarly, we are going to take one more text box as a number two. Then we are using one button. What is the purpose of button? Once your values has been entered, then we need to click on submit button to take, and that will be redirected to your process.jsp. That's why we clearly mentioned our form action should be process.jsp. So next, which page I need to redirect? Action to be performed to my process.jsp. Now what process.jsp will contain? Once again, remember this process.jsp is using attribute. I told already. It is using our attribute. What is the attribute name here? Error page. And from which directive it has been taken? Page directive attribute. And where it is moving? It is moving to my one more JSP file, which shows our error.jsp. If an exception has been raised, that can be handled. But what happens in your process.jsp is whatever the n1 value you have taken initially, it will be get back by using your get parameter, using your request implicit object, and that has been stored in your number one. Similarly, n2 value are storing in what? Number two. But as in number one and number two is what type of data types we had? String type of data types we had. We need to convert it as an integer because division can be performed between only integers but not between strings. So for this purpose, we are using a method called parseInt method. So parseInt method will convert your string into what? Numbers. It can be convert your string into numbers. So number one, using your parseInt and conversion of your into integer and stored in a value called a. Similarly, number two is converted and stored in a value called as what? B. Now, what is A and B are? They are integers. Now we are performing our actual operation. What is our operation? A division operation we are doing. So C is equal to A by B. So we are just writing a logic for your divide operation. But when your chances of an exception raised is if you pass any B value as a zero, so what happens? Something by zero should give what? Infinite. So this is called as what? Our exception. This is called as an exception. Now what I need to do? If unfortunately if you pass your v value as zero, that exception can be raised and that exception can be handled by your one more page. What is one more page? Error.jsp page. And remember, when I'm saying in your attributes of your page directive, if you want to make your each error page into two values, one is a true, one is a false. Defaultly, it can be false, but when you are managing or when you are writing an error.jsp, we need to make it as from false to true because there may be a type of exception we are going to be handled. So if everything goes fine, means b is not equivalent to 0, we are simply giving a message that there is no exception occurs. But suppose your b value is 0, then your exception is using your expression tag. You are writing what is that exception has been raised. Here we are going to implement. Here we are going to implement. So this is what error.jsp and process.jsp. Now the same thing. Once again it has been repeated. I think so. Now if you take an output screens which we compiled already, if I am giving number 1, 12 and 2, then division of 2 is given proper way. No problem here occurs. But whenever you have given 12 by 0, then automatically it should give an exception. So what message? An exception is occurs. And what type of exception? Division by 0 exception has been raised. So that is the one type of method to handle your exception. So hope you understand method number one. Any doubts in the method number one, my dear students? If everything is fine, I can go for second method. First method is clear, how to handle an exception. Any doubts? Vivek, yes, Vivek is saying it's clear. Yes, so you also fine. So you're also done with fine. So there will be no issues in handling of an exception in you using your number one method. That is your first method. We can go for second method, right? So before going to second method, just have a look at so how to handle your second method. First, we'll take only the introduction part, example, and everything. We can see tomorrow session, right? So how we are handling an exception you're using your second method. Just I'll show you. So this is best approach or better approach when we compare with your first, because here we don't require to make any type of an additional JSP pages. We can use it, but we can specify with using one element. What is that element is called error page element we need to use. And where we need to keep this error page element, we need to keep this element in your web.xml file. And I just clearly mentioned this approach is better. What is the reason? Because we don't need to specify error page attribute in each JSP page. In your previous example, only we had one exception chances we had it. But suppose if there may be from 4 to 5 times an exception calls, then I need to mention these attributes every time. So like this, we don't require to mention if number of exceptions are increasing, then we don't need to specify any error page attribute in each JSP page. Only one time, only a single entry we can do in our web.xml. And what is that? Element is known as error page element. So what is the purpose of this error page? It can handle these exceptions. And one more important point, in this particular method, either specify exception, that is, we need to either we cannot specify exception type. What is your exception type and what is your error code with the location element, with the location where it is occurs and what is your error code, we can specify clearly using your the second method. And whenever you want to handle this type of an exception, compulsory we need to use or we need to specify one of your element, that is java dot language dot exception, where we need to use that is the package we are importing. So in the exception type element, so we are using one exception type element now, then we need to import or we need to specify this package, right? So I can just make the method number 2 is somewhat best or better method compared with your method number 1, because number of exceptions are raised. I don't require to make all the exceptions one by one with your attribute value. Only I can define once my entry to be done in my XML, so that entry can handle all the exceptions. And how this example will work over, just we can see with an example program in the next session. So there will be 4 files. One additional file is joined here. What is my additional file here? Web.xml. What is the purpose of this web.xml? To make your error page, to make your error page element that is placed in your this file. That's why one file has been added and additional and previous files as usual. One is index.jsp, another one is process.jsp, and other one is error.jsp. But we'll see the core, how we are implementing, we can just discuss in your next session. So as time permits, we can go for next session. We'll try to maximum close your unit number 5 servlets in the coming session. Then immediately we can go for your unit number 6 for tomorrow's session, if possible, right? So as of now, I'm going to wind up the session here itself. So I request everyone, if you have any clarifications, you can just post your doubts in your chat box. If you don't have any clarifications and doubts, you can just post your attendance in the chat box and you can leave.
Excuse me, sir.
Mr. Ahmad,
Yeah. Hello, sir. How are you?
yeah, please.
Yeah, sir. About BBTs, when will you upload it?
Where? Sorry.
When will you upload the BBTs?
I think I uploaded for you. It is not visible to you. E-content. This per unit 5 you are asking, or you are asking about all the units?
No, all the units.
So I'll do
For
it.
med,
I better I will
med.
do for today only. After.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Ahmad, after completion of my today's sessions, I will try to upload complete details. We can't find it. Sham.